NASA is providing an update on the first integrated launch of the Space Launch System, SLS, rocket and Orion spacecraft, after completing a comprehensive review of the launch schedule. This uncrewed mission, known as Exploration Mission 1, M1, is a critical flight test for the agency's human deep space exploration goals. M1 lays the foundation for the first crewed flight of SLS and Orion, as well as a regular cadence of missions thereafter near the Moon and beyond. The review follows an earlier assessment, where NASA evaluated the cost, risk and technical factors of adding crew to the mission, but ultimately affirmed the original plan to fly M1 uncrewed. NASA initiated this review as a result of the crew study and challenges related to building the core stage of the world's most powerful rocket for the first time, issues with manufacturing and supplying Orion's first European service module, and tornado damage at the agency's Michoud Assembly Facility in New Orleans. While the review of the possible manufacturing and production schedule risks indicate a launch date of June 2020, the agency is managing to December 2019, said Acting NASA Administrator Robert Lightfoot. Since several of the key risks identified have not been actually realized, we are able to put in place mitigation strategies for those risks to protect the December 2019 date. The majority of work on NASA's new deep space exploration systems is on track. The agency is using lessons learned from first-time builds to drive efficiencies into overall production and operations planning. To address schedule risks identified in the review, NASA established new production performance milestones for the SLS core stage to increase confidence for future hardware builds. NASA and its contractors are supporting ESA's, European Space Agency, efforts to optimize build plans for schedule flexibility if subcontractor deliveries for the service module are late. NASA's ability to meet its agency baseline commitments to M1 cost, which includes SLS and ground systems, currently remains within original targets. The costs for M1 up to a possible June 2020 launch date remain within the 15% limit for SLS and are slightly above for ground systems. NASA's cost commitment for Orion is through Exploration Mission 2. With NASA's multi-mission approach to deep space exploration, the agency has hardware in production for the first and second missions and is gearing up for the third flight. When teams complete hardware for one flight, they're moving on to the next. As part of the review, NASA now plans to accelerate a test of Orion's launch abort system ahead of M1 and is targeting April 2019. Known as Ascent Abort 2, the test will validate the launch abort system's ability to get crew to safety if needed during ascent. Moving up the test date ahead of M1 will reduce risk for the first flight with crew, which remains on track for 2023.